So today we're going to touch on the mind element. So remember, there's 5 material elements: water, fire, air, ether. And then there is the subtle elements, which relate to the subtle body: mind, intelligence, ego, and consciousness, in that order. So mind is a very interesting thing. It's described that thoughts in the mind are, practically speaking, unlimited. And the mind is, generally speaking, that part of us which accepts and rejects. We like this, we don't like this. The mind becomes very attracted to this, repulsed by that, whatever that may be to different degrees. So from a personal growth or yogic perspective, it's important to learn to not necessarily believe everything that your mind presents to you. There is a part of us, which is called the super soul or the Atma, which has its own intuition. But the mind is not the part of us that's intuitive. The mind is just the fluctuating thought forms and desires that come in and go. And part of the problem is that we give our mind superiority over our innate intelligence, over our consciousness, and over our soul many times, and we get lost in a whirlpool. So there are methods: meditation, yoga, being in nature, keeping your feet on the ground, pranayama, breathing techniques, and chanting divine names, mantras, very, very powerful to stabilize the mind, and so that we can, in one sense, transcend it. The mind will do its thing, no matter what. One of my teachers once said, the mind is like a broken toy. It just keeps doing the same thing again and again and again. But we are not the mind, so the idea is to ultimately be more of a witness to our minds rather than a slave of the mind. And so a good policy in one sense is to always double check with yourself. Is this true? Is this true? Is this true? Because the mind will present so many things, and we have to check it. Sometimes we have an automatic emotional response and the mind will present something, but it's not necessarily true. There may be some truth in it, but the way we perceive it may not be true. So we have to not become slaves of the mind energy, and then ultimately connect more deeply internally to our real inner being, and the Paramatma, the soul within, that is the witness, or the divine particle witnessing us. And when we connect to that, that is our real intuition. So we will talk more about that later. But yes, pranayama, meditation, japa, kirtan, being in nature, connecting to earth, these are all very, very good for calming the mind. The mind, by the way, is described in Bhagavad Gita, is more difficult to control than the wind. So the mind is a very windy place. It goes here and there. And it can be very calm sometimes. It can be very disturbing sometimes. So working with the mind and observing the mind, and not giving too much attention or belief in the mind itself, but rather to go deeper. And when we go deeper, we find those places inside of us that we can trust. Okay, have a great day.